Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take a few minutes of your time, if I may, to ask you as finance professionals across countries and industries to lend your expertise, your energy and leadership to develop and implement the practical solutions we need to build an ambitious and sustainable future that puts nature, people and planet at the heart of what is quite literally a race to zero. I need hardly say that your support, your influence and the impact you could have if you decide to join me in this would be utterly invaluable. Over the past year, the devastating pandemic has had a horrifying impact on lives and livelihoods everywhere. Reflecting on all that and all that we have endured together, it is more clear than ever that human health, economic health and planetary health are fundamentally interconnected and that we must find ways to build back sustainably. Earlier this year, my Sustainable Markets Initiative launched the Terra Carta, a blueprint setting out ways to bring prosperity into harmony with nature, people and planet over the coming decade. The Terra Carta reflects the considerable progress that has been made in forging consensus on the direction humanity must take and the milestones we must meet by the middle of the century to secure a sustainable future. CEOs from organizations large and small have signed the Terra Carta, signaling their support for this roadmap towards a sustainable future by 2030. You never know, your CEO might just want to add his or her name to the list. I've also been encouraged by the growing number of governments, businesses and finance leaders committing to net zero. As finance professionals, I can only ask that you add your voice to these leaders and sign the HRH Net Zero Statement of Support to signal your commitment to the kind of action on the ground that we so desperately need to see. I hate to say this, but I've spent much of the last 40 years trying to get across the message about why sustainability matters and why tackling the twin existential threats of climate change and biodiversity loss is so utterly critical to the future of our entire global economy and humanity itself. Frankly, I'm fed up with all the talking. We know now what needs to be done. The big global investors have been telling me there is no shortage of money, which is hardly surprising, I suppose, as much of it has come from overexploiting nature. So now we need to put some of that money back into supporting and regenerating nature's own capital, so that we can then draw a durable income from it for the future, but within planetary boundaries. Setting targets are, of course, only the first steps. They must sit alongside an extraordinary practical effort to mobilize the financial resources, technical ingenuity, and institutional innovation required to realize these goals. You, ladies and gentlemen, as CFOs, accountants, investors, and pensions professionals, have an essential role to play in driving the urgent and substantial change required. Your ability to raise and allocate funds for transition and adaptation, to embed greenhouse gas reductions within your organization's decision-making processes, to influence others and to track and report on progress against these targets places you at the very heart of the transition. I need hardly say that it would help a great deal if you could use your vital expertise and your teams to help support the work of the sector task forces in my Sustainable Markets Initiative as we examine financing the transition by industry and as we look at industry standards and metrics. This is precisely why I set up my Accounting for Sustainability project back in 2004 in order to work directly with you as finance leaders to inspire action and drive a fundamental shift towards resilient business models and a sustainable circular bioeconomy rather than a fossil economy. Therefore, after 17 years of trying to get the message across, it is time for real action to tackle the emergencies we face on all fronts. Thus, working closely with my SMI, HRH can help you not only to set ambitious targets, but also to form part of the coalition of the willing I've been putting together over the last 16 months, joining the race to zero, looking at corporate impact on nature, and finding the practical approaches that can deliver the solutions we need. As I've said before, this is not about making money on the one hand and being sustainable on the other. It is all about recognizing that business as usual is no longer an option, and that those organizations which invest in the future by putting nature, people and planet at the heart of global value creation will be the ones to succeed. As we look to a brighter and hopefully more sustainable future, with our promises kept, I would be most grateful if we could join forces, join up all the dots, and waste no more time. The clock is ticking, and it really is up to us to make each day count.